Good morning, this is Robert. It is Friday the 14th of March, and I'm making another video to upload onto YouTube regarding the situation and circumstances that I most unfortunately find myself in, insofar as I am a target of corrupt police officers within the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. And I just want to go over a couple of things that I've written down here so I don't forget. Yesterday I put on my exit video, I uploaded an exit video that indicated that I've been threatened by the stakeout team that is on the other side of that wall. Where I had brought up some of the criminal conduct, some of the more serious criminal conduct, because there's a lot of it. Specifically that there was a Mike, rhymes with welder, who had apparently purchased 2 illegal pieces of contraband with the intent of applying my fingerprints to them, that stakeout team had lifted from my apartment in order to bring false charges against me, as well as begin a malicious prosecution. I also brought up the fact that they had broken the seal on the original warrant, the application, and the sworn affidavits of the first information that they submitted to a judge in order to fraudulently obtain an order to surveil me and to wiretap me, and to basically that has given them sort of a carte blanche authority to destroy my life, which it actually hasn't. They've actually just used that authorization and gone far and above and well beyond what it specifically, requires or, particularly is seeking. They are completely ignoring those legal requirements, which in effect makes everything that they are doing illegal. I'm sorry, I dialed someone, I pocket dialed them. Anyway, so when I walked out the door yesterday, I mentioned that on my exit video that I posted. So anyway, that got the gal's goat next door, the officer who said, he's dead, which isn't the first time I've heard those kind of threats or slurs of some kind, because they have been conducting this on-premises stakeout surveillance thing for over, I want to say they're probably in their 6th week or so now, maybe even their 7th, I'm not sure. Well, I do. It began on January 28th, which was like I want to say a Wednesday or a Thursday. It was done without authorization from the court, which I think that they subsequently got on that Friday, when they had their little ex parte, what do they call them, updates or status reports on people that they have electronic surveillance, at least. Well, I think they're at least following that part of the law. I could be wrong. These folks hate me because I'm fighting back. They don't like these videos. They don't like the letters that I'm sending to judges. They don't like the texts and emails that I'm sending to the Department of Justice and the FBI and to many, many other officials, the governor, the Attorney General, folks like that, representatives. And they want, I'll hear comments like, he's got to go, or we've got to get him out of here. Those kind of, sort of threats where they're going to attempt to abuse their authority in order to take, malicious action, including the manufacture of evidence, which I've already sort of surfaced previously. So I'm fully anticipating, they're continuing to go forward with that. They were doing it last night, or early this morning. I woke up again at 3 o'clock with the operators, the IMPD animals that are operating the drone device, who were discharging one of the surveillance sensors at my private area in order to stimulate a biological response, which then the stakeout team is tasked with capturing on film. So these folks have a lot of pictures of my downtown area, which in and of itself is nothing, but as they progress through whatever other schemes they're pursuing, which has included not only the manufacture of evidence, which illegal contraband with my fingerprints on it, fraudulently produced photographs, what else? Enlisting false statements from people that they have been poisoned against me. They have stigmatized against me by giving them false, misleading, untrue, intentional misrepresentations and omissions of the truth, and reckless disregard for the truth. Reckless disregard. Well, yesterday, over the past week or so, I've really started to gear back up for my second attempt at moving forward with legal action. I had a setback here in January after my complaint was submitted, and I was doing it on my own. First time I've ever done that, and I'm not a lawyer. I submitted a 98-page complaint to the U.S. District Court here in town, and unfortunately it was dismissed without prejudice. So I'm going to try again, but this time I'm taking a different route, and I'm working on what's referred to as a motion to unseal. So what that does is, hopefully give me access to the information that they use to deceive the judge in order to have him to obtain a warrant and to have him issue it, to authorize it. So that's my next step, and that's what I've been working on. Yesterday, which was not my scheduled day off, but they had, the store that my company was supposed to inventory had canceled, so I had the day off, and today is an actual day off. So I'm going to return to the library and continue working on my motion. I've been doing that this morning here. I don't have an internet connection, and so therefore I go and collect information, court opinions, copies of laws, and other sort of background information that is helping me prepare as I go forward with the composition of my motion to unseal. So I was there for 11 hours, so they're really pushing. He's got to get out of here. We don't want him to be able to move forward with what he's planning, because they are surveilling me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they are contemporaneously, which means as I'm working on my motion, as I'm working on selecting the court opinions that are applying to my situation, they are seizing that information. They're taking it, and that is a crime as well. It breaks the rules of the warrant as well as decency, as well as court rules, because what it does is it's giving them advance notice of what my legal strategy is, which is a crime. I mean, I won't say a technical crime, but if you're in court, you would be sanctioned for doing that kind of thing. You could be held in contempt. There's lots of, it's a privilege when you're your own lawyer that you kind of get what you're preparing is confidential. Anyway, not here, not in my situation. They steal everything, and in fact, it gives like they have brought in, one of the reasons I'm doing this video today, or this morning, is that I'm aware that they've brought in a new assistant prosecutor. I've already discussed that they've had this sort of rotating group of 3 or 4 that have come and gone, and they have just brought back a woman by the first name Betty. evil and corrupt. They really got the dirty one to come back so they can, because they're getting desperate that they want to stop me, but they can't stop me legitimately because I have committed no crime. They are fabricating, manufacturing, misrepresenting in order to continue this sort of surreptitious harassment, you know, making threats that soon, you know, trying to, dissuade me or frighten me or whatever, and it's just not going to happen. So, but anyway, they brought this gal back in, and so my understanding is now that whereas for the last, I want to say month now, they've really been working hard to try and find a pretext to fraudulently charge me with something in order to falsely arrest me and begin a malicious prosecution, but they failed in all their efforts. And it's at least been, I want to say, 3 or 4 times. So now I guess the next date that they're planning to take whatever fraudulent action is after Sunday. So, you know, they want a little time for things to cool down before they, you know, bring up their, you know, do whatever it is that they're planning to do. And I've already gone over that in the past as well, which seems to be primarily focusing on manufacturing evidence that would suggest that I represent some kind of threat to youth, which is a complete absurdity. It is viciously and virulently homophobic and archaically homophobic as well, you know, but this is a red state with a lot of, you know, closed-minded, backward, you know, people that might, you know, fall for those schemes by dishonest, corrupt, dirty, slimy cops. And of course my understanding, as people, you know, in the state of Indiana or Indianapolis are familiar with, or the city of Indianapolis are familiar with, apparently the IMPD has a history of corruption, and apparently so does the Marion County Prosecutor's Office as well, as epitomized by Betty Doe. Let's see. So, you know, that's where their situation is going. So some of the things, again, I've already raised in the past, are the threat of planting, you know, sort of like, you know, some illegal contraband, or something that just sort of raised itself over the past few weeks as the stakeout team has been in here, and how they can misuse that to their advantage has been personal items have shown up missing. Personal items that, you know, I don't have a lot of stuff, so you know, if something's not around when I need it, I usually, you know, will at some point find it. I might not know exactly when they stole it, but I know it's been stolen. And in some cases, they've stolen it, it's been gone for a week. I've raised all kinds of hell, not really hell, but I've, you know, made sure that the whole world knows, you know, what they've been taking, and then lo and behold, it shows back up, you know, hidden here, hidden there, in places that I already looked at when I was missing it the first time. Most recently, as a result of what I had just mentioned earlier about them discharging the WAN device, or one of the sensors from the drone, to manufacture evidence. In order to fight back at that, I have been dressing uncomfortably to go to bed at night, wearing extra pairs of underwear in order to stop them from, or to try, not stop, you can't really stop them, but you can try and thwart them from capturing pictures that they hope to use. So I've been wearing extra underwear because they're going to use that device to try and elicit this biological response so they can capture it on film and have these dozens of pictures that either A, they take back to the judge and lie to him about in order to extend their harassment and life destruction with extensions to the warrant, or at some point, you know, add some other elements that permit them to go forward with false arrests. But, you know, I'm going to continue to let people know about this and not to stand idly by and allow it to happen. associated with these kind of dirty, scheming tactics to deny me my physical liberty, because they've already denied me my freedom of opportunity with their stigmatization and their interference with my employment, their interference with all of my associations, where they call them up, say, this guy is A, B, and C. You know, you hear that from a cop, and what is going to be your response? You're not going to want to associate with this guy. So, in other words, they have intentionally caused me to be isolated and to be ostracized. Now, as a result of me raising all these concerns, people are still sort of ultra polite, but that's as far as it goes, right? There's no authenticity. There's no real connection. It's just, you know, if I need something, I ask for some assistance, and then we see how it goes after that. People are polite, but they're still, backing away, slowing things down. Another thing that they've done is interfere with my access to public benefits. Now, eventually, I've pretty much gotten them all, except when it comes to my some unemployment that I'm owed. But it takes a long, long time to get it, and it's not just the regular bureaucracy of an anonymous person who goes in. It is the singled out, treat him differently, bureaucratic slowdown that is initiated by a phone call from the authorities that say, this guy is A, B, and C. What can we do to screw him, right? But then I get on the internet, I text, I write, and then eventually it kind of gets through, or it has thus far. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But it's made my life harder, and it's also distracted me, which is, I think, the intent from working on these legal documents. So as I said, I had that in January where my suit was dismissed without prejudice. Since then, I've had to worry about subsistence. I'm working at a job that I'm making minimum wage. I'm a 52-year-old educated white man, and I'm unable to find a decent job. I'm working, as I said, for minimum wage, and I can't even get to work full-time at that position. In fact, keeping me poverty-stricken and keeping me isolated are two of their alternative schemes while they attempt to find an illegitimate way to deny me my physical liberty with false arrest or whatever other avenue they might be pursuing. Simultaneously, they're trying to impede my ability to fight back by having me have to focus on just getting by. How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to get food? How am I going to, get gas to get to work? So that's sort of their dual, vicious, dirty tactics that they're pursuing. But I don't want to get off the point. Not that I really had one here. Like I said, I was just kind of giving a summary of what's been going on over the past, well, indefinitely. But like I said, it's definitely escalated over the past few weeks. So what they're moving towards is capitalizing on what they've done to me in order to distort and twist it around. And when I say that, as I said, they're tactics of stigmatizing me. They're tactics of forcing me down economically, where I am, the working poor. Puts me in a situation that, I have no money. I have to do the best I can. I don't get to interact with people. I can't go out and have a beer. Not that I do. I'm not a big drinker, but I can't go out and have a beer because I can't afford to pay my rent. I can't make a friendship because, although they might sponsor that friendship and say, pretend to be nice to this guy, as I said, there's no authenticity. And at what point those folks begin to actually get to know me a little and say, well, this is a really nice guy and he's not a threat at all. Oh, wait a minute. We can't afford to let anyone be on his side. We can't afford to let anyone like him because that would, put us possibly at a disadvantage. So they have to stigmatize me and put a wrench in it, or worse yet, stigmatize me to the point that that person who I've interacted with is actually willing to make false statements in order to pursue, in order for these dirty cops to pursue their ultimate aim. So just by the act of trying to make friendships, it can be twisted and used against me to the point that that it becomes evidence against me. So it forces me again, from a protective standpoint, to be cautious about interactions. And but that, as I said, I continue to be a decent, easygoing, nice guy, and unless people are lying or willing to perjure themselves, the truth would be thus. Thus it ever was. Effective stigmatization. Oh, and so like I said, they think they're going to try and capitalize on my situation, but when you have, when you're making $125 a week, there isn't much you can do with that. You have to pay your rent, and then hopefully you'll have a little left over for gas and cigarettes, on food stamps. So there isn't a lot of extras, and so I can't buy anything. All my stuff was taken. I moved out here, put my stuff into storage, started to live with my brother with promises that were, well, I don't want to go over that, but I was thrown out due to the stigmatization and the police turning them against me. But I have very few things, and so my situation is fairly dire, fairly dire, but I'm still getting along, and that's what's really pissing them off. So, like I said, I'm working on a motion here to start the legal process, against these scumbags, and that's what they are. They're corrupt, depraved scumbags, and that's where this whole, as I have already probably said, that he's got to go. He's got to go. The threat to us. The only real skill that these people have is in covering their own asses. I mean, really, I'm serious. I'm serious. It's all about, oh no, we've got to cover up our crime. We're not going to stop our crime. We're not going to say, wow, we probably shouldn't do these criminal things. No, we want to conceal them, get rid of him, so we can continue to do them. There is no, desire to do the right thing whatsoever. It's a desire to win and to hide. To win and to hide. I mean, basically, they're cowards. They're real chicken, excrement. And then finally, besides the stigmatization and the forcing me into, or maintaining my situation in poverty, they are, they're using the drone device as I speak right now. And I know that this is bizarre to folks, but as I prepare my motion, it will become clear that the advances in surveillance technology that the federal government and the military have developed in order to protect our nation is now being taken over by law enforcement, and it's being ushered out into our nation to be used against us. And what I'm talking about specifically is an unmanned aerial system, more commonly known as a drone. I've talked a little bit about it already in a video that I uploaded 2 or 3 days ago. But one of the sensors, besides the high-powered telescope that can see through walls and collect video and photographs, besides the high-tech eavesdropping recording equipment where they can actually collect even the faintest whispers. Besides the thermal, I always forget the name of this thing. The thermal device where it lets them know sort of what your heart rate is. It doesn't show a picture of you, but it shows that sort of red-blue thing of you through the wall. They've got one of that on there. They've got this device where it tracks your eye movement, so they can kind of pinpoint what you're looking at. Creepy. And And then they have this device that's referred to, as I've already talked about, as a weapons and non-permitted device detector. It's a sonar-like detection device that can be used to sort of see into people's pockets through their clothes to see if they're carrying any sort of weapons. That's what it's for, and it's a sonar device that actually impacts you. It sort of sends like a sort of this sound wave, ultrasound thing that hits you in order so they can see through it. Well, what these corrupt and depraved and sadistic pieces of garbage that are these detectives of the IMPD have done is, in their sadistic ingeniousness, have changed the settings on the device so that they can shoot it at you to cause pain. They can shoot it at you for hours and cause torment and discomfort. They can shoot it on you to wake you up at night or to prevent you from going to sleep at night. Recently, while I was studying legal opinions, they had the thing on my head. They had the thing discharging it at my skull for over 2 hours. And not only that, they also had, it was also, which I thought was funny, I was also getting the pins and needles thing that they can do with it, right? And so I was like, how can they do both? So it seems as though they've actually taken one of the other sensors off, and I'm guessing it's the thermal one, the infrared. That's it. They've taken off the infrared sensor and actually put on a second one of these wands. That's the acronym for weapons and non-permitted device detectors. The ultrasound thing, sonar-like device. They put a second one on their drone device so that they can double whammy me. It is depraved. It is sadistic. It is evil. It is unconscionable. And I will never stop seeking justice. I will never stop trying to surface this issue. That device, I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to stop the infiltration of these military devices that are going to be used against citizens in the country, but they absolutely should not have that sonar device on it, and that needs to be absolutely prohibited. So Congress, who I believe is working on some sort of legislation, because right now it's just in the testing stages. The FAA is running it because it is a flying object, but there are no rules, no regulations. It's just a free-for-all. I think there's close to 600 of these things being used in the country. Several of them being used as for border security. But the ones that are used for illicit surveillance, I mean, they can literally fly anywhere. And it's not like the ones that you think of that are sent out by the Army to drop bombs. It's more of this kind of circular device with these propellers, you know, just like helicopter propellers, but much, much smaller, because they can be anywhere from this. An unmanned aerial system can be as large as an airplane or as small as something that fits in your hand. And we've been hearing more about them in the news for their commercial uses for the future. But right now, in the country, many law enforcement agencies are using these things. But here, where they have a history of corruption in their local police department, the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department, they have exploited and perverted the use of this detection device, this ultrasound detection device, where it can actually, as I said, cause pain and torment. So, you know, I'm leaving it there. I've kind of gone on for a while, and I'm sorry about that. So we'll just have to wait and see. I have no fear of criminals, and that's what, I mean, well, I obviously do. Anyone has fear of criminals. But I have no fear of corrupt policemen, all right? They're dirty cops. I don't go anywhere because I can't afford to. I go to work, I go to the market, I go to my apartment, and I go to libraries, mainly, well, the Central Library, the IU library, or the IU law library. So those are the only three, that's the only half a dozen places that I can go, that I can afford to go. Like I said, they're keeping me poverty-stricken, and they're keeping me friendless. So until they scheme away, and they brought in Dirty Betty, from the Marion County Prosecutor's Office to scheme to find a way to, falsely charge me with a crime. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much.